What is going on, y'all? This is your boy Saint Irving. This week we got Shuhei Hisagi, and he looks scary. He's even better than we thought, and we'll be breaking down everything about him, his stats, his lore on today's video. But first,
run that shit back!
Shuhei is described to be a character that has a sickle-shaped Zanpakuto called Kazashini. He is an elite Shinigami who was already set to become a seated officer during his time at the CFYOW Academy. He is so fascinated by Tosen Kaname that he was appointed vice captain of the 9th Division, where he demonstrates his true abilities. He has a high ability to deal with projectiles, such as a special flash attack that nullifies projectiles while in motion, and a unique technique that easily cancels out projectiles. Although his attack power is modest, he has many excellent techniques that are easy to use. As the soul of both his opponent and himself decreases, the performance of his techniques increase in response to the fear, so he is a character who shows his true potential in long-term battles. When we look at his battle stats, we see his ease of use is a 4-star character, his attack power is a 2, his speed is a 4, his range is a 4, durability a 3, and his technique is a 2. Overall, he's a well-balanced all-arounder. He's able to do a lot of everything, has a versatile toolkit, and can really adapt to any situation. He's got some anti-zoning abilities, and once I explain the toolkit you have, you'll see just how crazy he is. One thing you'll want to know is that with Hisagi, he has a fear gauge. Hisagi's fear accumulates when the soul of either himself or his opponent is destroyed, or when he goes into his awakening. The more fear that he has, the more damage he inflicts on his opponent, and the performance of some of his techniques change. The really awesome thing about this gauge is that whether you're losing or winning, you're getting stronger. Because in one way or another, either your opponent's afraid of dying or you are. With his signature technique, he creates a tornado in front of the opponent to attack. The attack range is narrow, but it lasts a long time, making it a good technique for intercepting approaching opponents. With his signature move, the more fear he has, the more hits and range that you get. With his spiritual pressure technique 1, depending on the amount of fear accumulated, a certain Kido technique will be released. At first stage, it will be red fire cannon, followed by blue fire fall, and then discarded flame, and its performance will increase accordingly. There seem to be various stages between the fear gauge, and so the attack might become stronger and stronger as the gauge increases, allowing you to have a stronger version of the Kido spell. With understanding these Kidos, you have to keep in mind that it is red fire, blue fire, and abolishing or abandon fire. Essentially, you're creating a greater fire attribute Kido type spell, where your Hado is going to deal damage, and the more fear gauge that you accumulate, the stronger that Kido spell will be. With your spiritual pressure technique 2, warrior mindset or warrior's poise, he prepares his arms to counterattack. If he is attacked while in the stance, he will attack from behind the enemy and follow up with a thunderbolt attack. Damage increases with the amount of fear he has accumulated, so this can be a turning point in the final stages of battle. What it is explaining is that essentially, this is going to get stronger and stronger over time, and so the more fear that you accumulate, the stronger this technique will be. It will still be the same technique whether you are in Awakening or in Base, but the benefit here is that this technique will be really strong towards the end of the battle when your fear gauge is at its highest. If you do a counterattack in these circumstances, it can really make a difference. Or in short, saying this can do a lot of damage at the end of a battle. With your awakening, you will release your Kazashini, and some of your attacks change. The content of your flash attack changes, and he gains a means of attacking at a mid-range distance. Although the increase of his abilities are low, it has great potential when you include the strengthening from the accumulation of fear. So what this means is that not all of your techniques will change. Your spiritual pressure techniques remain the same, and your quick attacks will still be relatively the same or similar, but your flash attack, and likely your special flash attack, will change due to your awakening, giving you a mid-range stance or distance. And that's a benefit to you because really it just opens up more combo freedom for you and also more range, giving you a little bit more leverage. At the same time, you're going to want to be aware that Hisagi is essentially a close to mid-range fighter. He's got good speed on him, he's got good range, and you can use the variety of his attacks to really get the edge. You can put good pressure on them with your signature move, which doesn't cost you much. You can also intimidate any approaching enemies with it. You can throw a little bit of Keto if you want to offset the enemy and basically just deter them. Although, of course, I don't recommend it. You have some strong Keto, so it will be a deterrent. And if you notice, he can do it at a good distance. He did it in different situations depending on the enemy attacking, and yet it seems to be able to attack, immediately and also do a good amount of damage. So, of course, I know these spiritual pressure techniques are fast, but also if you notice in some battles, it seems that they are respondable to where you can dodge them if you do the right move. So it is good to know that these attacks fire off at a great speed. By being an all-rounder, you're going to want to understand how you're fighting, how they're fighting, and kind of get the leverage that way. So for example, if you're fighting someone like Uryu, you're going to want to close in the distance. You're going to want to get him close, and with your Kazashini, you can use a move that kind of helps get you a little in close, then maybe follow up with some of your Keto, so your spiritual pressure technique 1, and then maybe even push him back with your signature move as a finisher to that combo. You can also just go right back with a flash step. So there's a few things you can do to really tech him. Also, of course, just good movement. With his speed being a 4, he's going to be one of the faster characters, and he's going to have one of the best ranges as well. Now, with his attack power being low, that's really not much of a problem given that his fear gauge will accumulate, so really that even gets boosted up as well. So I'd say it's likely like a 3 or even a 4 when it's at max, but in either case, even a slight attack power boost is enough. His techniques don't have to be too complicated as long as they're effective, so overall he's got some good effective techniques. He's able to do counterattacks, deal some strong damage, and deter the opponent. So it's just really a matter of what you want to do and how you want to play with him. He can get in a little close if he wants. He can play at a mid-range. He really doesn't have any long-range abilities, so he is going to have to play between close and mid-range, but he really does have a good variety. Keep in mind that not all of his attacks are mid-range, so you will have to kind of stay kind of close, but it really helps that you have a counter attack to kind of get away if you get a little too close and you're not safe. You have a way to deter anyone from getting close to you with your signature technique, and then also you have a way to do some quick damage with a good Keto spell. One thing to note is that we do have several all-rounders in the game, but they all seem to work very differently. We have Urahara, we have Rukia, we have Rangiku, we have Izuru. They are all balanced characters in a sense, but they all excel in different things. With some of them, you get certain abilities that you don't get with others, whereas, for example, with Urahara, you get your reverse gauge back a lot faster, therefore you can do flash ups at an easier rate. And also you'll be able to do reverse gauge, soul, chain, and burst at a much faster pace for yourself compared to other players. That's not something anybody else gets as an all-rounder. With Rukia, her spiritual pressure techniques change, so therefore her abilities are changed to match her Zanpakuto. Most of her other attacks do not change, her sword techniques are practically the same. So therefore, her movesets don't change, just her spiritual techniques, giving her a favorable situation where she can then turn the tide and have something that better fits her based on her Shikai. And then with Hisagi, he has a fear gauge along with the fact that some of his movesets in his initial moves, combos, will change. So all of them are all-rounders, but the way in which their abilities take form are all different, giving you a different variety for each character. So therefore, you won't have a situation where you're like, oh my god, they all play the same. No two characters play the same. Even when they have both awakening effects are different. So I think it's really cool to see that they're able to put the similar archetypes, especially an all-rounder, because of course there's always going to be more than one usually, and this is such a basic, if you will, type of archetype that you could have easily somehow fit them all to be similar. But I'm glad they took the time to make them all different and unique. So Hisagi's got a chance, and he's definitely very popular from the response that we've gotten today. So let me know if you're going to be maining him in the comments. If you're wondering why Hisagi has a fear gauge, you have to understand the kind of character he is. When he was leading a training drill in his late stages of training, he was overwhelmed by hollows and fellow colleagues died. He was severely injured, gained the wound he has and scar on his right eye, and if it hadn't been for Renji, Izuru, and Momo, he would be dead. This seems like it was orchestrated by Aizen at the time, but regardless, Aizen and Gin came to their rescue. And so, due to Hisagi's talents, he was recognized and allowed to go to be a seated officer in the Goten 13. But when he had a private conversation with Tosin, he explained that whenever he goes onto the battlefield, he is overwhelmed with fear. And so Tosin explained that there is no good warrior that doesn't carry fear within himself. And that if Hisagi is truly afraid that he has gained something invaluable to a warrior, he goes on even further saying that if a man does not fear his own blade, he has no business removing it from its sheath. This very idea helped instill who Hisagi is today, and so he uses his fear to further himself in battle. And as some have said in other animes, true courage is knowing that you're afraid and still pursuing the battle. It is not that you are not afraid, it's that you will still persist. And I think that's one of the best qualities in any anime and a character. I absolutely predicted his kit. I even said he was going to be an all-rounder. If you watched my video from when I was doing the roster prediction, which I actually made about 3 or 4 months ago, I just didn't have time to make a video. And I practically said what his kit was going to be. Kido, Sanjutsu, he does it all-rounder. Need I say more? And real quick, I did want to shout out Oblivion. I really appreciate the kind words. I'm sure I'll hit 1,000 soon enough. There's about at least 4,000 or 5,000 of you guys watching regularly. And I mean, at the end of the day, I really appreciate you guys' support. You know, it was really cool to see some streams recently that we've had together where you guys have come in, we've talked. It's been an enjoyable, you know, a community experience. And I'd really like to continue that further. So, you know, if you're enjoying this content, please feel free to hit subscribe. I'm here for a good time and a long time, and I want to make sure I give back to the community. And so I've got some good projects in store, but I do need your support in terms of subscribing, commenting, etc. That's the most part I'll pretty much be asking of you guys, but in return, I will be delivering a lot. So that being said, this is your boy Saint Irving. If you've enjoyed this content, please feel free to hit subscribe, like, and comment. In the meantime, let me know what you guys think about Hisagi down below, and I will catch you on the next one very soon. Peace.